Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Robert Adams, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Darren Charles. Today we commemorate the 107th anniversary of the Second Battle of Villers-Bretonneux, which was fought on the 24th and 25th of April 1918 in northern France. On the 24th of April, 107 years ago today, a short artillery bombardment preceded a German attack spearheaded by tanks. The battle was the first to involve tank against tank fighting, with German tanks engaging against British tanks. A gap was opened in the British lines, and with the fall of Villers-Bretonneux, it was feared that the Germans would break through to Amiens. The immediate recapture of Villers-Bretonneux was ordered, and that night, the 13th and 15th Australian Brigades went into action. One brigade approached from the north and one from the south, meeting at the eastern edge of Villers-Bretonneux, surrounding the enemy force and driving them from the village and adjacent woods. By the end of the following day, Villers-Bretonneux was again in Allied hands, but the cost of victory was high. While British troops had borne the brunt of the German offensive attack and exhausted the German troops, the Australians suffered almost 1,500 casualties in taking back Villers-Bretonneux. After the war, the location of the battle was chosen as the site for the main memorial to Australians killed on the Western Front, the Australian National Memorial, which lists the names of over 10,000 Australian soldiers with no known graves who were killed on the Western Front. Today we remember the Second Battle of Villers-Bretonneux. We pay our respects to the men and women commemorated here on the Roll of Honour and to the survivors who returned home. This evening we are honoured to acknowledge Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd, Deputy Commander, United States Indo-Pacific Command, accompanied by Major General Paul Kenny, Deputy Theatre Commander, Australia, Admiral Alain Coldefi, President Society de Members de la Légion d'Honneur, accompanied by Ms. Anne Coldefi, and His Excellency Pierre-André Imbert, French Ambassador to Australia, Dr. Susan Newhouse, Member of the Council of the Australian War Memorial, and Mr. David Bradkovic, Chief Executive Officer of Defence Health. We also warmly welcome Mr. Peter Baldwin, President of the Returned and Services League of Australia, ACT branch. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
All
Visitors who are able to do so may now please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private William Gladstone Lane. William Lane was born in 1898 in Eagle Hawk, Victoria. Known as Bill, he was one of 5 children born to a local station master, Thomas Lane, and his wife Bertha. Bill spent much of his childhood in Terralgan, where his father was a station master and where he received early education and participated in senior cadets. In 1909, his mother passed away, leaving his father Thomas to care for the 5 children. After finishing his schooling, Bill moved to the town of Jerraput, where he found employment as a clerk at the branch of the National Bank of Australasia. William Lane enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 20th of June 1916. He was assigned to the 6th Reinforcements of the 60th Battalion with the rank of private, joining his older brother Arthur, who was already in training with the battalion. In camp at Broadmeadows, William trained to become a signaller. The pair embarked together from Melbourne on the 2nd of October 1916 on the troop ship Nestor. The Lane brothers arrived in England in early November 1916 and continued to train with their unit. They spent Christmas in camp in England together before William contracted mumps and was admitted to hospital. He remained in England until May 1917, when he joined his brother and the unit on the Western Front shortly before the Second Battle of Bullecourt. In early September 1917, Lane's unit was sent to the front lines near the city of Ypres. Private Lane took part in the first major attack on German defensive positions at Polygon Wood on the 26th of September 1917. Despite heavy enemy resistance, Allied troops were able to secure their objectives and consolidate the line within days. This success was not without cost. By the end of the battle, Allied casualties amounted to 5,770 men killed, wounded or taken prisoner. Following the battle, Lane contracted influenza and was moved out of the front lines to recover. He rejoined his unit in November 1917 as a series of major battles raged on. In January 1918, he and his brother were granted leave and travelled to Paris, where they spent the week enjoying the city. March 1918 was marked by the start of a major German offensive along the Western Front. Lane's battalion was defending the sector around Corby when German forces overran and captured the town of Villers-Bretonneux on the 24th of April 1918. It was decided that the town needed to be recaptured by the Australians that same night before the enemy had a chance to dig in and fortify its positions. The plan was to enclose the town, trapping the Germans or forcing them to retreat as British units sought to clear the town of any remaining enemy. A vicious fight ensued as Australian units battled to retake the town. By the following morning, they had succeeded at the cost of almost 2,500 casualties. Lane's brother, Arthur, was among the dead, having been killed by enemy machine gun fire. 2 days later, as Australian units struggled to consolidate their gains and hold the town, William was hit by an enemy shell and was killed instantly. His commanding officer later wrote to William's father saying, "Your son conducted himself with the utmost gallantry, ability and devotion to duty. In his position as signaller and runner, he performed a vast amount of particularly valuable work, and it was while fearlessly carrying out these tasks that he's met with his death by an enemy shell. In the midst of your grief and at the loss of your two dear sons, may it be of some small comfort to know that death was instantaneous and that Will was buried on the field by his comrades. I cannot find the words to adequately express my deep sympathy towards you and all his home folk. His loss to the company is a severe one. He was always on the best of my men, ever ready to perform his duty without hesitation." His father later posted a memoriam notice to his 2 sons in a local newspaper, which read, "So many of our best, mere youths no more, after the fight they rest on a stranger shore. They will anon be thought so much too young, when victory's tale is taught, when song of triumph sung. Boys, he upheld the right nobly, and then, fought as heroes, fight and die like men. Private William Lane's final resting place was lost during subsequent fighting in the region. Today he is commemorated on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Pretna, among more than 10,000 other Australians who have no known grave. William Lane was 20 years old. His name is listed on the honour roll to my right among 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Gladstone Lane, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we shall remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.